kidding me?
Episode 267 in a
Throw some
row.
cold water on the situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now, so when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek, giving you the info you need to achieve mega nerd status. NetHeads.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
No one listens to the radio. I wasn't even listening. I was listening to podcasts. Podcasts are great. Radio's boring.
Yeah, okay, maybe it's been a while, but I remember how to do that. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of NetHeads. My name is Will.
I'm Trent.
If you'd like to take part in the program, you can't... Whoa, what happened to my voice there for a second? Well, if you want to take part in the program, one of many ways you can.
We're going down to the Hamptons this weekend.
Yeah, clearly. Oh, well, you can take part in social media, hashtag Nets. Trent, tell them how they do that. Oh, wait, now I'm almost bridging into Nicolas Cage.
Hashtag NetHeads be like live in 3D. Mike Discroll mixing up his username on the Twitters, but Miranda Janelle also using the hashtag NetHeads and many others. Control the show, distract us, tell us if you can't hear us. It's all on hashtag NetHeads on Twitter.
No more of a hashtag distractor.
Yeah.
Anyway, also NetHeads on air via Skype, which we never listen to. But you know what? It's out there anyway. And if you're on YouTube right now, at least you can watch it. I know before we're like Facebook, but you know the whole Facebook scheduling thing didn't pan out, and it's like I think came to the epiphany a little while ago. We're doing podcasts, so the video is really just kind of a tag on it at best.
Yeah, it's secondary.
It pretty much, especially considering now it stutters for no reason. But I can tell you there's a reason why that we don't know if there's a reason, Trent. I know that's a little confusing, but follow my logic on this one, okay?
Gonna try.
Okay, so last week we were gonna podcast, but there's one problem. And that's the darn video that I just said isn't important. Well, that all happens. I talked to you through a specific computer in the room. Okay, I think I've made it pretty clear. There are multiple computers at play in the room. Each one has a specific function. If I want to play the sound effects,
right,
they're on a computer. People call on Skype, that's a computer. And you yourself, sir, you don't. I'm not saying you don't warrant your own computer, but in order to have you on the video, I have to have your video on the same computer that I'm running the video switcher on, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're with me. Okay, good. I'm glad we're on the same page. So, because of all that, the computer that you're coming in on is kind of important to the operation without swapping a lot of things around and wondering if it'll work.
Right.
And last weekend, just one of those things, I sat down, gonna get some work done on the weekend like I always do, turn on the computer, sip my drink, look over at the screen. Yeah, there's no posts, no windows. What?
Nothing there. It's just...
I must have not pressed the button. Silly me.
Button.
Let me press the button. Press the button. Take another sip. Look.
Yeah. Wait a little bit. Let it do its thing. Wake up a little bit.
Yeah, like me. Just we're both...
like all of us.
Yeah, and nothing. And you're just like, instantly, you just know that feeling. It's just like, oh, okay, the power supply's out.
Yeah. Power supplies on computers, man. Not something we think about very often.
It in many ways, boy, have I got plenty to bitch about when it comes to this, to the power supply that came in the system. Not only that, but I made a fun discovery, actually paying attention to the system. I know this is the same tower that I put the big CPU fan in on, right? You follow me?
Yes.
And so I've been in the cabinet, but, naturally I live like a troll, and I only have the amount of light that's absolutely required to get things done. Okay.
Right.
So I wasn't really looking at things, but now I'm doing major assembly and disassembly. So I've got full light going. I'm working in the kitchen on the island because it's just the right height. I'm not going to get a backache. I've gone into too much detail. I apologize. And I for the first time I noticed in this full ATX case for this quote unquote gaming system, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I kid you not, it's got a micro ATX board in it.
Whoa.
So they've got I mean, boy, it must have cooling like a mother trucker with that much airflow going on inside.
Sucking right through it.
Yeah. So instead of like making sure all of those ports that you can pop out on the back are applicable because it's got a nice big motherboard to fill that space, just a tiny little micro one.
Yeah.
So much so when this issue happened, and because I was having to get a new power supply, I almost considered just moving the motherboard into this smaller case that I just happen to have laying around that makes it look more like a multimedia system computer, right? It's got, it's square. Looks a little cleaner. Doesn't look like a computer really, right?
Yeah.
But then I decided, okay, that's going to take hours, and swapping a power supply is like 15 minutes. So after I went and got one, I put it in. Everything's working great. And then I noticed something else too. The biggest problem with audio is grounding issues. If you get a buzz, a hiss, extra noise, and here's my point. If you listen to Trent right now,
which you can do because I'm speaking and you can hear me.
Yeah, well, thankfully, I've run video where like the first 20 minutes, the other guy can't be heard. You never know.
Right. Yeah.
But in this particular case, my friend, it's actually just fine. And my whole point, though, is on the live audio, I'm not hearing a damn thing anymore now. So all of my pain and all of my hassles in trying to get rid of a grounding issue came from the fact of the power supply that was in that computer.
Already, yeah.
And I'm not surprised because, I'm sure the name, when I say in the power supply world, the name Starbright, you think quality, right?
No doubt in my mind, right up there next to Kroger and Equate.
There you go. Right up there with Value Choice brand.
Yeah, and Kirkham's Best.
Yeah.
Kirkland, I guess. Kirkland.
Kirkland, yes, for the Costco of it all. Yeah, I'm going to say there was a slight weight difference between the old power supply and the new one, but I put a bronze model one in because, after I saw the motherboard, I'm like, really? I needed the 700 or the 750, but I got that put in, and not only is the system performing much better, but it is also quieter, and like I said, grounding issues gone. So, if you do happen to buy, I bought this thing I think it was on a Cyber. It was either a Cyber Monday or a Prime Day kind of deal, right? So, like, I was paying a ridiculous price for what I was getting. It was definitely somebody's lost leader. That, the Cyber Gaming Company or whoever makes these things, they just wrote every one of those sales off as advertising costs.
Right. Yep.
So you're not spending a lot of money. So it was a great deal for me from that perspective. But when something is that inexpensive, then you really do have to consider the parts that are going into it. And clearly this new power supply has much better grounding because literally every noise issue in my system is now gone.
And it's crazy because normally you're looking for external things that are affecting the frequency for audio, right? So you're hooking up the ground loop huggers that go around cable cords,
it's like graphite or
electronic
something.
Cables. Yeah. Or you're adding one of those special RCA cables from the mixer because that has a box in the center that's supposed to reduce ground loops or anything like that.
I literally have those things around my desk so much, you'd almost think I have an alien invasion going on. Because it looks like these little silver beetles of doom are like slowly taking over my cables,
just like crawling all over and getting into the tech and assimilating it.
That's pretty much the way I feel. Yeah.
But it's crazy that when all fails, You have to look you have to look inside, and the problem was there all along.
And then you find the magic was in you all along. No, but and like you may have said it pre start of the program, but it definitely is one of those things that you don't think about, because like if you buy a case with a power supply in it, you just think naturally somebody's going to put in something that'll get the job done.
Yep.
But then the part that you forget is, well, there's also some guy that works at the company who is specifically he'll spend weeks on end just figuring out how to shave tenths of a cent off of something, because in the long run, that's a gain.
Right. Yeah. Multiply it by 2 million pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So are they gonna get a nice eco brand or some other EVO or whatever brand power supply and put that in, or are they gonna get the one that they can get for $5.95 that literally does the job? Yep. And you know what? Nobody buying our computers are going to be like trying to do THX sound mixing or anything. So why do we have to worry about grounding issues?
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, software. In addition, people don't plan for that to affect their hardware in ways like that. I had to change about a year ago. I had to change out power supply on the tower I'm using here, and it worked fine on everything except Street Fighter 5.
Just Street Fighter 5 would trigger it?
Just Street Fighter 5. It needed a faster delivery of electricity to run the program because the frame rate was so high. And so it was a problem. Didn't have a problem with any of my other games that are even running at 60 frames per second. But specifically, there was such a drain on the electrical system from Street Fighter 5, I eventually just had to upgrade it if I wanted to keep with it. So, yeah.
Wow, I can't believe that. I never would have thought there would have been that kind of an impact just from like the visual requirements of a game.
Exactly. Yeah. It wasn't the graphics card was keeping up with it just fine. It just wasn't getting enough electricity to
the brain that needs to power it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I did an overkill and went with like an 800 watt. So I think I'll be good for a while.
Yeah, definitely. I think the one I put in was either a 700 and 750, whatever it was. It was within the range, but it was also quite literally what's available within driving distance.
And a lot of times the bigger they are, the more surface area it has for cooling as well. So you can actually have a cooler running system. I know it sounds weird by having a bigger piece to cool itself.
Speaking of that, one thing I never realized, and like in this case, there is a bottom fan that's going to be residing over a grill that's on the bottom of your case. And that's its sole responsibility is involved in the cooling of the power supply.
Yeah. Most should have a fan right on it.
Right. Now, Trent, in the broadcast room that you're within, is that a carpeted floor or what's the deal?
It is carpeted, yeah.
And do you have a tower in the room?
I do, And but the tower is up on a table.
Ah, see, there you go. And that's what I was literally looking in the garage the other day for some drop cut of wood that would be about the same size as the tower, because I realized, holy crap, this thing's it probably half the time being horribly inefficient because it's just got carpet fibers going right up its vent hole, if you know what I mean.
Yep. Yeah. No,
hey,
that's exactly what I've done.
There's a show title, Carpet Fibers Up His Up Its Vent Hole.
I actually on this build, I put the power supply up top, so that's right underneath the top fan and I've got a Cool Master case, so it's sucking a ton of air through it. But I moved it to the top so that it's the very first thing getting cooled right next to the motherboard, just in front of it. Yeah,
I thought it was kind of amazing the number of ridiculous fans that are in this case that I've got, especially considering all of them have these self-powered LEDs as well. So once it gets up to enough RPMs just from its own energy, it also powers these things. So there's one pointing out the back or drawing air in from the back, and then there's one going out the roof, and then there's one on the side. I don't know what it does. Or no, there's one on the front. I mean, it's just like it's so many fans, but you figure if they're taking this micro board and they're selling it as a gaming system where it's got a beefier graphics card, I guess it does kind of make sense.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you bring that up. Speaking of cooling, I have an MSI laptop that I'm actually using a ton for gaming now. My system that I'm broadcasting on right now is maybe set up for gaming a little better. But damn it, Will, I love my recliner so damn much.
Trent, we're at the point now where we have to consider new family room furniture because, well, anyway, it's that time, right? And I got to tell you, I honestly asked my wife, are we at the point in our lives now where we can just get a little table between two recliners and then just a couch for everyone else in the room?
Dude, I'm telling you, my setup is so great. I would definitely change it if I ever had company for sure. But I've got the recliner, and then I've got my TV out across the room in front of me. I'm tilted just to the side so I can still see the TV while I'm gaming. I've got and then two bar stools on either side of the recliner. So I've got my soda or beer right here, the remote, and my phone, anything I could ever need. The problem with it though is that laptop gets really, really hot. It's a laptop. It's doing a ton of work without a lot of space to cool itself. And it's actually kind of cool. One of the LED functions for the power button on it, once it reaches a certain heat in the processor, it turns orange. And so in the past, I've used a Coolmaster Notepal 3, but it's just really bad design on it. The power source USB power source coming from the computer comes in from the side, which if you're in a recliner long enough, you need to change your position. So you'll sit, cross-legged for a while, in a lotus position sometimes, if you will. And
wait, hold on, dude. Hold on. Are you saying that you aren't just in a point of constant recline? No, every once in a while you're doing armchair yoga?
Well, I'm just crossing my legs a little bit and then setting the laptop in between my knees.
Okay, fine.
All right. Right there.
I'm sorry. I'm not mocking you in any way. I'm just trying to I'm both trying and not trying to picture this in my mind at the same time.
It helps with the muscle atrophy.
Okay, I understand.
and the bed sores.
But yeah, definitely.
I don't have to have someone come roll me yet.
By the way, can I just tell you again how much I love your use of overalls? I just got to say,
these are my weekend pants.
Dude, seriously, because it's the most functional piece of clothing. In all honesty, I'm not being a dick in any way.
Gosh. It's true. I don't ever have to worry about because belts can get uncomfortable, especially if you're a man of heft, and you don't have to worry about your shirt not being long enough, so your ass crack is showing or whatever.
You're 3/4 covered. You're not spending the day like me tugging at your shorts trying to get it back up above that fat shelf that it's just gonna get shoved down under again.
I can reach for things and not have to look around to make sure no one's looking. You know what I mean? It is amazing, dude. Well,
hold on. I now have to cough myself to a point of near death. Give me a moment.
Yeah, because I do all my shopping on the weekend, and if I'm at the grocery store, and you're reaching for a top shelf product.
Not to mention, you can keep your notepad and your paper and your pencil right there in the front pocket, or your smartphone. There you go.
Right there.
Oh my gosh.
Spot in the world. Because then it's not bulky either. When you walk and it's in your pockets.
Oh, I'm going down to Tractor Supply Company right after this, and I'm gonna get my because I bet you too if I look around I could probably get them for $6.95 a piece. Maybe $10. $10 a piece.
Well, I
20.
I splurged
that is some denim.
And I splurged and went with some Carhartts, so they were a little more expensive, but they're built to last. Double paneled.
That's okay. Double paneled right where you need them, right? I bet you that's part of it right there.
So true. And they're great for allowing airflow through the body, not unlike that Coolmaster Notepal I had, except when I set it between my legs, the USB power source, which comes in from the side,
you're risking armchair collision right there is what you're risking.
Got bent up.
Yeah,
exactly.
See?
Yeah. It was really good. I was a little disappointed in I mean, it had a like a big 7-inch fan, but it didn't have the airflow that I really wanted. So I picked up instead it's CM is Coolmaster's like gaming line. It's still just short for Coolmaster. But I picked up theirs. They call it the Storm, and then SF, and then they have the sides, whether it's 15, 17, 19. And this thing is nuts, dude. It is. I've had it for 3 days, and the heat levels on my laptop have stayed way down. It's pushing out so much air that I'm actually feeling the air blowing out that in the space between the laptop and the cooling pad itself, which is great because I'm always hot.
Well, here's what you do now. Now you get yourself just a nice sheet of copper, and you have that sucker resting on top, underneath your Coolmaster pad. So that way, then it's whisking a little more of that heat off for you, and you can get a nice cool breeze on your wherever the breeze is going. That's what I'm trying to say.
Especially in lotus position, that opens everything up to just draw it right through. It keeps a flow.
Yeah,
it's like water.
Yeah, I never would have anticipated that problem, but that definitely is a bit of a hassle. But I don't blame you because I for a long time I've really enjoyed portability. Like the majority of my time doing sound processing and stuff used to be in the family room on a laptop. I've done very little on a desktop. I did for a little while with the same system we had to replace the power supply on last week, which by the way was just so quick and easy because. Like now, power supplies just used to be wattage, and they're going to give you 55,000 different connectors on the ribbon, and you're going to have to zip tie pieces away and, cap off what you didn't need. No, these new ones are modular, so they'll give you all the cables, and you can just plug in what you need. And so that was just great, and it went together so fast. So it's nice. And plus, when you have this happen... And you can pretty much guess if the power's not coming on 9 times out of 10, it's going to be your power supply. Sorry, I just want to finish that up, and then we'll get back to cooling pads. So with that, that's where I had to make a decision. It's like, well, what am I going to do here? Because the first instinct is, well, great, it's an opportunity to upgrade. But then you're like, wait, I can't afford to upgrade. Don't do that, dummy, when you can spend $60 on a power supply and get yourself back online.
Yeah, and have your machine work better than it has, and for same thing for me. Like I never would have attributed problems, on my screen with the power supply.
Yep, but it makes sense. Where eventually it's like, well, it's just not getting enough power to the rest of the pieces. Well, what are you going to end up doing now with this issue on the cooling?
Well, yeah. So I bought this newer one, and it's been awesome. It keeps everything super cool. The best feature, and I highly recommend this if you are going to buy a cooling pad for your laptop, make sure to find one that has flaps at the bottom to actually hold the laptop in place. The one I had prior, it was always like when it was in my lap. If it was on the table, it was just fine. But if it was in my lap, it was always sliding down. The new one has 2 tabs that just hold it right in place, and then extra rubber to actually raise it up off of the cooling pad to give it more air to be pulled in between the fan and the pad, the laptop itself.
I have
anyway.
I have here in the house what I used to use up until the point where I realized every time I'm using this. The baby is hurting herself on it, not itself. Whoa, what the hell?
Well, gender yet to be determined.
No, okay, by her.
Yeah,
I don't know what her gender identity is.
She hasn't decided pronouns yet, so it's fine.
Hey, man, that's her journey. Okay,
absolutely,
it's her journey. So. Sorry, I love it when we just get like all fake hippie on everybody. Goddamn liberals. Anyway, but these things were great because you could adjust the legs, and so that way you could not only, first of all, most importantly, it fit on my hips, Trent, so that wasn't an issue. But it also counterbalanced itself, and it could bring itself up so the screen could be more ergonomic and in eye level for you.
Yeah.
And that's what they had. They had a rubber-covered lip coming up over to make sure that your laptop wouldn't slide out. And the funny thing is, those were all metal. So I wonder if just having your laptop resting on just this big hunk of metal may solve. I'm almost tempted to send them to you. I literally just, I got to tell you, there is a very good reason why the book that you told me to read mentions that tidying can't be an incremental process. It all has to be done at once.
Yep, it really does.
And I'll tell you the reason why, because I have now cleaned my office several times. Let me just say now is finally the first time in several months where I'm not walking through paths to get through to my desk.
Right, because if you do it incrementally, you're just going to find a spot to put something for a short period of time and not really do anything with it, not really create a place with it or part with it.
And here's another example. I still now have to go through parts of, in case of one, and all of another bookshelf because that's where other things have temporarily gone. Regardless of all of that, I have to tell you, there is a certain mental cleansing now at not having to fear my daughter walking into my office because something may kill her. You know?
Absolutely. I mean, heaven forbid our parents would have ever thought of the consequences of putting like a 300-pound television on an aluminum wheel cart tray when we were kids that you could just pull over on yourself.
Well, you know, the only thing is that that then sometimes it just means you get more presents later. You know what I mean? 'Cause,
I do.
yeah,
I do.
And you remember how you used to have a younger brother, that kind of thing. Thankfully, I never encountered that. That kind of stuff is just. Thanks for taking me there, though, Trent. I really appreciate it. I was trying to be all upbeat the whole time, but now I'm
not real.
But that is another reason why these bookshelves also have to be cleared. But I also have to tell you, I love all the cool stuff we get from Loot Crate. This is not an ad. Although if you did go to lootcrate.com/netheads, you could get a discount on an active subscription. I love all the stuff we get, but at the same time now I'm reaching that critical mass point where I'm getting stuff and I like the stuff, but I don't really have a place to put the stuff.
Right.
And so now what? Am I going to expand shelving and storage in here to accommodate it? It's a crisis. It really is. But and not to mention, I now fear an earthquake because the bookshelf that nobody can see over here to my right or behind me, depending on your perspective or where I'm looking, that one, if you even bump it, it just becomes a pop bubblehead nightmare of just I mean, it looks like some of them got hit with like nerve gas or something and they just went down, you know.
And it's, I mean, when you first said that, I was like, well, that's weird. Why would you worry about an earthquake? And then I'm like, oh, that's right, you live in Northern California. Never mind.
Yes, I do. Also, interestingly enough, today the weather was like 70 or 71 degrees where I'm at because there is this weird weather pattern happening where typically the storms that would come through us, you know, they would circle around, so they would kind of hit us, and they may hit Utah on the periphery, and then they would definitely get Utah on the whip around. Right. Instead, somehow there was this air flow that created where the two streams that normally would come together around California are now bypassing California and most of Reno and just kind of converging right in on the far, I mean Nevada, but on the far east part of Nevada and Utah. So are you getting like rain and nastiness right now, or
southern Utah is being affected by it? Yeah, but northern Utah, dude, I'm telling you, in January and in February, I've ridden my motorcycle to work more times than I've walked to work because the weather has been so great. Great, you know, meaning temperate for January and February. February, we normally get this deep freeze where it drops down to like 10 below. And I think the exception, I can count on one hand, in the 2 months, it has been in at least the 40s, almost to the like high 50s on days. It's been bizarre.
Yeah, it's been weird too. I mean, we did get what I would call the return back to cold weather, and now this bounce back is happening. And It's just like I'm sorry, didn't the groundhog say we were getting more winter? Because I was still waiting for winter, really.
Yeah. Well, and exactly. We haven't had a solid snowstorm.
Oh, I was
since Christmas.
And isn't like skiing a destination event near you?
It's supposed to be.
Well, that's the thing too. We, my daughter keeps saying she wants to just like do a day trip to Tahoe to see the snow, and we're like, that'd be great. As soon as there is some, we'll go.
Yeah. It is just the whole Intermountain West is just dry as a bone right now.
Trent, before you know it, that damn peach tree gonna be waking up again.
You have to get out and beat it.
No, I'm not actually. This year, I called an arborist, and I'm like, dude, I've got this tree. I don't know how to take care of it. I've kept saying it's out of control, and then I just bitch and moan, and eventually I cut away limbs that break themselves. You know what I mean?
It's so heavy with the fruit. Yeah.
So anyway, I brought somebody in, and this year may actually be a low to no fruit yield thing, because we are going to start. Trent, it's a time of rebirth for the peach tree, and I think we should both take this into our life philosophy as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think it should be that now we are going to renew ourselves just as we are renewing the peach tree, and it'll become a symbol. It'll be our. Did you ever see How to Get Rid of a Guy in 10 Days, Trent?
Yes, I did actually. Sadly,
this will be our love plant, Trent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not our love fern, our love plant in this case. So we'll use this as a point of revitalization and renewal, and we'll look forward to the fruit of the future because we're focusing on the healing now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Where am I going with this? Absolutely nothing. Complete gibberish. It's just like, dude, we were so tech heavy for so long. I don't know how to get out of this.
That's fine.
How do you pull out?
Well, yeah.
Trent, I'll tell you how you pull out when in doubt. We already determined that one.
That's right.
See?
Yes. When in doubt, pull out.
Trent,
yeah,
I gotta
that's
tell
the
you,
rule.
I have to tell you, I cannot. Words can't express how much I am looking forward to tomorrow morning. Do you have any no idea why that would be?
It's the 18th.
Okay, it is the 18th. That is a matter of fact. But I was actually looking more for why might I be excited about Sunday morning? Mind you, you know I'm a godless heathen, so don't go there.
No. It's Dunkin' Donuts morning.
No, we don't have the Dunkin' Donuts around here. I don't believe. I think they finally got one in Walnut Creek, but that's like miles away. I didn't quite have to drive that far to get the power supply, but it was close. That means nothing to you, but now I've told you. Okay, are we clear? Fine.
I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on Sunday.
Okay, well, if you were a student of will, if I were to put it one way. Or put another way, if you were a pretentious dick like me and expect somebody else to understand and remember the things about you in your life, I'm a real big moviegoer on opening weekends of one of two times: the early screenings or Sunday morning, because that's my church, my friend.
You're looking at a movie pass holder right here.
There you go. So I'm really excited for tomorrow morning because. The missus has agreed and the eldest has agreed to watch the youngest so that we can take a trip to Wakanda, my friend.
Okay, so I was going to ask, you got to pick, right? Are you doing Wakanda or are you doing Metropolis?
What
Justice League.
What the funk are you rambling about?
Didn't Justice League come out too?
On home video?
Oh yeah, never mind. Never mind.
No, it's all right, man. There's a lot of media going around. It's hard to keep track of stuff. You know what I mean? It's just, I get it. Everything's bigger, gets smaller. San Dimas High School football rules. That's all I'm saying. Don't worry about it. But no, it's funny you bring that up because I have been now incrementally been watching Justice League. We started to watch it Friday night, but we have a toddler. So then we started to watch it between things today, but we have a toddler. So I've finally gotten to the point where I believe the heroes are getting ready for the final confrontation.
Okay.
And boy, do I have some interesting thoughts on Justice League. And I got to tell you, I haven't listened to Ralph Garman's thoughts on Justice League, so but I have a funny feeling I'm probably going to have a lot of the same complaints. Do you mind if I bring just some of the things I've noted up so far? Because
yeah, please, yeah, by all means.
they are really free-willing with the use of names around any goddamn person that's around. Like, I think we all are very clear on the fact that Superman comes back to life in this movie, right? We're clear on that?
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
So at one point, he is back, but naturally he's confused because he was dead and now he's not. And there are police officers on the scene. And up until this point, there has been use of the term, like they've called him by Kal-El. So it's been good, productive, solid thoughts. And then apparently as a contingency plan, Batman has Alfred get Lois Lane. So that way, if Superman comes back a raging monster, maybe beauty shall soothe the beast.
The beast.
You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
And at that point, mind you, there are still cops there. I mean, like literally feet from her. And Superman is flying in the air before her, and she says, "Clark!" And I'm like, what the hell? and then there's also the rooftop scene in the very beginning, and Batman has used a criminal as bait to bring out a parademon. And as he's talking, he's like, "Alfred, are you getting this?" It's like, oh, Batman just said the name Alfred. Well, I wonder why that's not a very common name. Are there any other Alfreds? Let me just do a quick Google. Holy shit, Batman is Bruce Wayne. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's not Alfred E. Newman he's talking to.
Definitely not. So that was interesting, and parts of the story don't really make sense, like Steppenwolf, which, by the way, I just have to tell you, last night I wanted to write a tweet, and I know this is a stupid thing to tell you about, but the tweet would have had read as such, and I tell it to you now because I think it literally tell its story, and I won't have to go beyond it after saying this. Watching Justice League with wife. Explained how Superman died in last movie. Based on look on her face, never getting laid again. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
never do that with a significant other unless they are currently wearing like Superman face paint or they're decked out Dark Knight.
They're in on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I was explaining that to the wife, and that went over really well. But anyway, so when Steppenwolf is trying to get the mother boxes, right?
And he's going on a magic carpet ride.
No, he's not.
You don't know what we can see.
That was another, and that's why I was laughing, because I knew I was about to say the name, and you were going to say something, and that's the same thing I had to. Once again, you got to stop and explain it to your significant other. Yes, there was a band by that name, but much in the same way that Steely Dan was both a band and a dildo, Steppenwolf is both a DC character and a band. So
yeah, a what would it be called? A post British invasion psychedelic rock band.
Yeah, there you go. Definitely. So those are just like some of the things I keyed on, and some of the things that don't kind of make sense. Like when he's sending that's where I was going. When he sends the parademons out, they're like looking for people that have the scent of the mother box on them. And by the way, I just gotta say, throughout this
I've had
movie,
that on my mouth before,
right? It is so creepy listening to this animated character, because Steppenwolf is all CG&I. But just like hearing him go on, oh mother, it's just like awesome. He's like getting dangerously close to what's his name in Blue Velvet with the mask. Oh, mommy. Yeah. But anyway, Dennis Hopper. Anyway, he sends the parademons out, and like before any of this, like we really know any of this, there's a janitor at Star Labs where they're looking for the mother box. I don't know how a parademon is there, and nobody knows. But anyway, it takes this janitor, and then later on you see it take Cyborg's dad, because he definitely reeks of the mother box. I can't. I just, holy shit. I mean, how many, oh Lord. Anyway, It's just the worst name possible. Seriously. I'm going to try and get through this, but every time I say mother box, I'm going to lose it like a 13-year-old boy.
I know. Because it's funny.
I'm trying to be a serious journalist, Trent.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, by the way, almost every scene with Lois Lane feels so forced so far in this movie.
Oh, no.
And Aquaman is just, I'm sorry, but like at the point where Aquaman is like, my man, I'm like, no, that was done much better by Rick and Morty in season 1. You can't claim that one.
Yeah, it's a thing already.
But I get what they were trying to do, because they were trying to cool up the uncoolest character pretty much in the DC lineup.
Yeah, and guess what? When you bring in a badass and change the character, that does it enough. Let him be badass on his own. You don't have to make him give him. He's not The Rock. You know, The Rock can get away with stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. So getting back to my point of confusion. So they finally, of course, naturally, as a team, go to where Steppenwolf is interrogating these people. And as we're seeing this scene, he's having a dialogue with some unfortunate scientist who says something, and then he's like, this answer isn't what I'm looking for. Snap, and their body falls. And then but this happens in the background, and in the foreground is Miles Dyson. Sorry, I can't remember the actor's name nor the character's name, but he'll always be Terminator 2's Miles Dyson to me.
Yep.
Miles Dyson and the janitor is there, and you're like, wait a minute, if Steppenwolf is questioning people, has he just not been here until now, and this poor janitor has just been stuck in this tunnel this whole time? Or, on the flip side, if he's questioning and killing people, why isn't he talking to the guy that was first brought here? I mean, it's just, and little things like that. I know it's stupid to bring up, but really, for some people, it really can take you out of the moment. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying, and I think it's those little pieces of detail where there just seems to be more foresight going into the project, usually in say like a Marvel movie, for those little pieces of continuity and of keeping you in the suspended reality. That's it. Yeah. In Guardians 2, no, not Guardians 2. The Thor movie Ragnarok, there were a few that pulled me out, but but it was because I'm a fanboy nerd, right? And notice little teeny things, not obvious blaring problems.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I'm down. I am down. But I will say it is at least passable up until now.
Okay.
And it does have some cool moments. But and I will say that there is a scene where I can't believe how blissfully unaware I kept myself about this movie. But there is a scene where Aquaman just starts like spouting truth, literally, because he's accidentally sitting on the lasso of truth. And so nobody knows. And it's too funny because everyone just starts looking at him like, oh my God, is he really saying this?
Oh, that's pretty funny.
And that was worth the price of admission alone.
Sure. Right there. Yeah.
So yeah, we did pick it up once it was available digitally, and it's palatable to, I should say, but there are other moments where it's just like, why is Shannon Hamilton saving the world? I did appreciate, though, there is one scene where they basically come back, and after a confrontation, they're back to the Batcave, and Wonder Woman is coming in to talk to Bruce Wayne, and he's got a dislocated shoulder, and he's trying to take off what he's wearing, but he's just like bruised and beat to hell. And it's just a nice reminder. It's like, this guy has just got body armor, and that's it. Yeah. Nothing more.
His thing.
Yeah, he is unlike all of the rest of you. But anyway, so far I'm near the end, and it's definitely been tolerable. But they just make some weird choices, and like especially as a fan of the comic books, or even just like when you like it when they bring in some comic book continuity. Let me just say that the way Superman comes back is a convoluted story. It's a lot simpler. Well, okay, it's not, because I also had to explain today to my wife how Superman came back in the comic books. And when you start saying the robots from the Fortress of Solitude, you've already lost.
Right. Exactly. Because the general audience, try a narrating a story that applies that without being obvious hit you over the head foreshadowing, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, be able to like get them to buy into it without explaining it. Already assuming that he's dead, and you want to keep that illusion going the whole time. Like, yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah, but it was fun actually looking my wife in the eye and being able to say the words. Robots from the Fortress of Solitude came and put him in a big solar egg bath. What? Just go with it. He's put in a big solar egg to get better.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh, okay. And then you realize that intimacy is just never going to happen again. That's the way it'll be, and you deal with it. That's fine.
Were there any points in the film where Batman told a villain that he has no respect? I have no respect for people. I have no respect for people with no shopping agenda.
No, that wasn't in there. And I, as far as I can tell, he wasn't trying to beat up anybody in an uncomfortable place, if you know what I mean.
Like the backseat of a Volkswagen.
Exactly, sir. You jackass.
Wasn't trying to pound anyone in the backseat of a Volkswagen.
No, not
deliver his justice.
Well, I mean, look, I haven't seen the Zack Snyder cut, but
sure. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm not clear on which parts were I think I'm very clear on which parts in the movie were Joss Whedon reshoots. Pretty sure on that. But there's like the one you're expecting because of the whole mustache controversy.
Right.
For those that somehow don't know, and we're talking about shit that's like a year old now, but when they did the reshoots for Justice League and they brought back the guy that plays Superman, he was contractually obligated already to another project, and to be dicks, they're like, no, he can't shave his mustache. So they shot the stuff, and then they had to digitally correct him, and that stuff was right at the very beginning. And it was just, and the sad thing is, I've gotten to the point where I've gotten in the movie yet where I still don't understand why it was necessary at all.
Yeah.
It's just like, why did you guys do that? I don't get it.
It's a weird choice in the first place.
Definitely.
And then to keep it rolling, yeah.
So anyway, I think the best way to sum it up to so far my reaction to it is that it's just there. I wish I could say that it was anything more, but it's not. There is a certain... Look, I'll say it. There's a certain something missing. There's a certain actual heart that is palatably missing from the experience. It's very by the numbers, just assembled. Whereas, like tomorrow, I'm almost expecting that in seeing Black Panther, I'll be having a near religious experience.
Well,
based on what I'm hearing.
No, exactly. And I don't know if it's the characters themselves or what it is, because I feel like in the television, the Arrowverse, there is these stories are full of heart and you care about the characters quite a bit, but for some reason in the translation to the big screen, it just doesn't seem to carry that same genuineness, I guess, is the problem, right? I'm currently like binging through I'm like halfway through season 3 of The Flash, start to finish almost, my free time, and this show is so full of heart and you care so much about the characters,
even when they do shit that pisses you off and you don't agree with whatsoever.
And you still feel for them, like you care about them, and for some reason, Warner Brothers just hasn't been able to deliver that on the same level on the silver screen.
Well, I know that recently in the news it was announced that somebody else was coming in to be the creative coordinator for film projects in Warner Brothers, which I think was a response to Justice League, if you will.
Yeah, so almost like a Kevin Feige.
Yes, exactly. Somebody more Kevin Feige than Zack Snyder or Jeff Loeb is, I think, the other name I'm thinking of.
Jeff oversees the television stuff.
Okay.
No. Jeff's in Marvel. Jeff is the Kevin Feige of Marvel Television.
I don't know, man. I I've been day drinking. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. You
No,
know
I'm
what?
kidding.
It's
I
fine.
haven't been day drinking. But you're right though. The TV series, even though I've never given the Arrowverse itself a chance because it was just too much of something in the very beginning that I just
Yes.
wasn't able to click because it was look, Trent, I'll tell you what, it was wet boys. That's what it was. It was always
Well,
wet
yeah.
boys all the time without their shirts
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I mean that's the Arrowverse is the term for the DC television universe.
Well, I
since
know.
Arrow was the first one.
I know, but
and
it was-
I agree with you. Yeah, I've never gotten into the Arrow.
Yeah, so, and I'm not, that doesn't mean I'm shitting on it. I'm just saying that there was enough that it wasn't, I'm sure one day I will come back to it because
Oh, yeah.
naturally it just, that's the way things go. Although I will tell you, oh my gosh, I'm just waiting for an ad to put on it, but I am about to release what has got to be the goddamn funniest Jay and Silent Bob Get Old that I've ever heard within one episode. It is
Really?
it is a frickin' gem from start to finish, man.
Awesome.
It's just the stories are great. The stories are funny. Like I was literally sitting here forgetting that I was supposed to be doing my job because I was listening to it.
You're like, oh shit, I should be working on this.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh wait, no, I was trying to. Yeah, okay, man, hold on, let me get back on track. And then 20 minutes later, shit, I did it again. So, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, I do
Well,
get to go see. Oh, go ahead.
Where and when was that one recorded?
Oh, I'm gonna say it was somewhere. Well, it was somewhere mid-December in Telluride.
Oh, nice.
Telluride. So and boy, oh boy, it's just funny. And then actually, I think this is the first time we're hearing the shows where it's still a pre-Last Jedi World, if you will.
Okay, yeah.
So, but I don't remember them discussing it too much. They were just discussing all kinds of other things that were a lot funnier and a lot more fun, and far superior to anything you'll get on NetHeads. But tomorrow, I'm excited. Tomorrow morning, I finally get to go to see Black Panther.
Yes.
I made the grown-up decision to see it with my spouse the way I'm supposed to, instead of saying no. I've got to see it. I've got to see it.
Opening night.
Or because I don't
screening.
want anybody, and the excuse he uses, I don't want anyone spoiling it for me. But really what it comes down to is I want to say I saw it the night before.
Yep.
I have no other excuse. I want to see it the night before. I'll be honest.
And yep,
Sorry,
it's
honey.
True. It's true. There is a bit of prestige that goes along with that.
She does listen to these, so mea culpa. I apologize.
Yeah.
But yeah, but also it is true that, like, specifically with The Last Jedi, they, like, I was okay with waiting until the point where literally, I think the night before, they started running ads where it's like, don't, cutting in between each frame, don't let anyone spoil this for
Oh,
you.
yeah.
And I was like, they're right, I can't let them do that, Trent.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, see?
Get in there and do it.
Open the door, rabbit. See?
Well, okay, so
You might, rabbit, you might. Sorry.
I've heard mixed reviews on Black Panther.
Really?
I've seen fanboys bend over backwards to applaud it, and then I've seen a few movie critics who are just like, meh, it's a Marvel movie. Meh. There's nothing new here, really.
Well, that's kind of what they tried to give us with Ant-Man as well, right?
Yes, yeah.
And I got to say that Ant-Man was a much better experience for me than anything the critics laid out for me. So
Yeah, absolutely. I know I probably have an unpopular take on my only reservation going in. I haven't seen it yet. That said, I'm going to put it out here. And granted, look, folks, I understand these films are not made for the comic book connoisseur, right? I understand that, and that's fine, okay? If it was made for the comic book connoisseur, nothing would have got past the very first Hulk movie, okay? That said, if we look back to Doctor Strange, if you remember, I had one major and then two minor problems with the film. The major problem I had was the casting on the Ancient One. that not that she did a poor job at all, just that it's different from continuity, and then they have to almost in an apologetic way work in part of the story as to why it is a white Irish woman as opposed, and which again makes no sense why they're in Kathmandu to begin with, but that's neither here nor there. And then on top of that, shoehorning a British actor into an American character when it would have been just as easy. You've already changed the narrative to fit one person in there. Just make him British and let him speak normally. Problem solved, right?
And I gotta say too, it's not a stretch of the imagination that a world-renowned surgeon would have spent any time overseas, and it could have been that his parents were over there and then he was just British raised and educated. It's just that easy, especially considering how much he goes in and out of the accent in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes. Or like over pronounces, like does the caricature of an American.
Yeah.
So that being said, okay, through that paradigm, I now shift towards Black Panther, which has a lot of leads of the characters being African played by Americans, right? All I'm saying is maybe there's some African actors that could have been cast for these lead roles. Maybe not. I don't know. But
Now you see, the thing I'm going to say is I have to back the studio on here because I'm going to want names and faces. Because to a degree, based on you bringing this movie out in what we would call Trump world, right?
Right. No, I agree.
In Trump's America, you're going to be releasing this movie, for lack of a better term. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And in this circumstance, you've got to ask yourself, am I going to be able to make this palatable enough for all of America? So you got to go with names in those roles. Even though, this was really made, well, no, I think they've been, I'd imagine they would have been doing this through 2017. So the timing makes sense. So in that respect, I don't have an issue. Like, I don't care though. I just want a cool movie. And the whole thing too is I'm both looking forward to and worried about how they're going to be working an Infinity Stone into this one, because there wasn't anything in Thor Ragnarok. By the way, speaking of which, Doctor Strange's gloves in Thor Ragnarok.
Yes.
Nice, or took you out of the moment?
Well, I didn't notice them, so it must not have taken me out.
Okay, they were just I'm like, what the hell are those? It's like,
yeah.
wow, those are some yellow gloves. That's a bold choice. That's what I thought.
So I'm jumping in, looking at the cast, and they do have some African characters in here. And let's be honest, maybe I'm just eating my words on this because I don't know if you've ever seen The Last King of Scotland. Forrest Whitaker knocks it out of the park, playing the African dictator in that role, and he's in this film as well. So maybe I'll just shut up and eat my words on this. That said, we now have two Human Torches in the Marvel Universe not playing the Human Torch.
Oh, Mike Driscoll at Live N3D. He says righteous complaints and criticisms are to be made of Jeff Johns. That's the one I was looking for.
Yeah.
Because I was instantly thinking Green Lantern, but wait, something ain't right here. So but, that's what happens when you got too many Jeffs in the room.
Yeah.
The other thing too that I don't know if it is even a thing, Trent, because I've only briefly seen Twitter at all today, and so I don't know if it's a thing. And I bring this up because I think in the world we live in now, it's an interesting take on it. But you tell me. Is there a thing right now where white America may be threatened by the Black Panther movie? Is there like any type of thing where there are screen clashes or anything being made online about race clashing?
Yeah, so I've seen all I've seen are articles about these faux clashes that haven't really happened
Gotcha.
being posted. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that, because interestingly enough, and you know, I think this applies when you think about us as a technology show. Not that anybody really does, regardless of how well we really front loaded that son of a gun today.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, I'm really impressed about how techie we got. You know, like I said, Brown's power supply, and nobody flinched.
And flux capacitor too.
No, I didn't bring that up, but
Okay, fair enough.
But
Gigahertz.
But I do have to say that it's just very interesting, the news that was kind of dropped on Friday night, and that was that the FBI special counsel Robert Mueller's office indicted some Russian oligarchs who may have been involved in very interesting real life operations in just creating exactly what, and I'm not patting myself on the back on this at all. Please don't misinterpret it. But doing exactly what I called it as when things were going on, just trying to disrupt American opinion overall. They weren't trying to, although support for Trump may have been a goal, the true goal was just dissent amongst Americans.
Yeah, just get people not thinking for themselves.
Yeah, and but all of that, just that told me that, you know, there was a certain level that the Russians are looking just to fuck shit up. There's no other way to put it. And in doing that, when things like this start popping up, and I saw that, and I'm like, is this a thing? Like, all I wanted to do, I didn't want to even find out if it was a thing. I just wanted to tweet saying, in light of the news, I hope everyone keeps an open mind to anything that comes across social media now that could drastically sway public opinion on something.
Yep.
Totally. And I think when it comes down to it, that's kind of the message that I represent and get out of all of this, is that you just need to seriously vet the information you're getting and not reacting on it, because that's the thing that I came to realize about the internet. It's not about bubbles. It's not about people living in their little bubbles. No, it's parabolic. The internet is parabolic, Trent. So if you have an interest, you send your interest out there. And if you're able to find your interest, the moment that connection happens, it's a parabolic effect, because it's going to magnify it. It's going to help increase it and personify it for you, because you're going to find quote unquote like-minded individuals as well. And then you're all within like an echo chamber of surrounded by parabolic bends, and everything's just getting magnified and magnified. And that means that now we're at the point where, and I don't mean to say we need to take back social media, but we really need to pay close attention to it. And we really need to vet the info.
Absolutely. And in my opinion, I see these posts about Facebook trying to give indicators as to how true posts may be, this, that, and the other for articles. Whatever, that's fine. I don't think it's their job to do that. Sadly, I know it won't happen, but I believe it's the consumer's job. It's we the people to be able to read something, click 3 times, type in one search to find out the validity of something, read about it, and then have an actual opinion on it.
Well,
but sadly, it's that takes 5 minutes, and no one's going to do it.
Well, not only that, you also have to realize that the majority of people are going to take the path of least resistance. So
exactly.
If you find information that appeals to you, and by the way, I loved, and this is one of those things where we should have all realized there was really a false flag thing going on, because there was very little news about anyone being paid like in support of Trump to disrupt the other side. But, there wasn't a lot of that. But, like, during the election, there was all this talk about, like, is it George Soros or somebody that's the big liberal backer or something?
Yeah.
Supposedly paying people to be professional protesters at this and that. And then we come to find out this Russian operation.
Yeah.
They actually took it old school, real world, brought people in under false identities, and they literally were also involved in paying American people to show up to protests dressed like imprisoned Hillary Clinton. So, like, literally, the Russian government paid people to do that. And so it turns out, there were people that were paid to do things, but not the way anyone thought, I guess I should say.
Right.
Because I know so far I haven't seen anyone cash any of those George Soros checks. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
So it's a crazy time, and I can't believe how much we now need to question reality around us. But at the same time, I have to say that I think the way the news handles the news is still poor as well. And I'm not saying that there's fake news, Trent. I'm just saying we've gotten away from a point of true journalism, and we've gotten more to a point of sensational journalism.
Well, and we only have ourselves to be blamed for that, right? Because there's not really money in true journalism, right? Like people want to be validated. People want to have this hyperbolic interaction in their free time, even if it's about politics or whatever. And so, that's the problem, is that people aren't willing to accept something that they may not agree with, despite it being true. And so because of that, we now have such a divisive delivery of news now. And sadly, the one place we used to be able to look for what was some holistic, honest journalism, being local newspapers, are all but gone.
They definitely are, and that's the other flip side of things. Well, not flip side of things, but in this case, another bad head of the beast overall is the 24-hour news channel, because you're then forced to distance yourself from information and have to get into infotainment, and that's why
exactly
you get your Fox News versus your CNN type information, or your MSNBC versus your whoever. Although I will say it is very interesting to see how they try and fill the time, but sometimes it's just like these talking heads are terrifying because they're presenting opinion as fact. And I don't know. The whole thing is, we are just clearly, with what has transpired in Florida, we know still we are living in incredibly messed up times. Regardless, look, I'm gonna keep it straight, Trent. I'm in no way, shape, or form trying to take away your 45. I don't care if you have to have a double-barreled shotgun. You know what? That's fine. You know what? If you have a long-range hunting rifle, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But realistically speaking, when the forefathers of our country put forth the Second Amendment, I believe their intention at the time was concern of either England attempting to come back in and take over, or more to the point, making sure that the newly established government didn't become a dictatorship in itself as well. They wanted to make sure the citizens had the ability and the right to rise up against the government should that kind of thing happen. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so now boiling it down to tactics and war, I think, and I'm not mistaken, but if we were to fall into a dictatorship, if all of the checks and balances had fallen the wayside, and let's say now we have Emperor Trump, or there's been a military coup, and he is just the false head of all of these generals, this star chamber, if you will, secretly controlling everything. Whatever it is, let's just say, though, one of the things they've done is they've roped in the full forces of the U.S. military. I don't care how many armaments you have. I don't care how many AR-15s you think you've got to help support yourself. You are outgunned and you are outclassed, plain and simple.
Exactly.
I can understand maybe you do have fun shooting that kind of rifle, and okay, great, more power to you, but it's just too dangerous. And I'm not saying this, I don't want to take away anyone's rights, Trent. I really don't. But I think time and time again, we have seen that what we're doing isn't working. And we're always coming up as a country statistically much higher in these types of incidents happening than anywhere else around the world. They've taken action and the things don't happen. Okay, the guns don't kill people, people do, but if the people can't have the guns, It's the chicken and the egg. All I'm saying is I'm sick to death. And I'm like, okay, I'm sitting here, I admit it, I'm sitting here in a room in California, and what else am I doing other than whining on my podcast? I fully represent that I am not representing what I'm saying here. But if people want to get up in arms over the President of the United States and organize marches against this, then you know what? If you're really passionate about protecting our children and protecting our citizens and protecting everything else, then do me a favor. Fucking rise up in the streets and march on that in the same volume, if not louder. So that way it's made abundantly clear to the House of Representatives, the people we have elected to allegedly represent ourselves, and not cater to a massive organization like the NRA. Instead, they'll look out for the people that they are sworn one way or another to represent and protect. That's all I'm asking. I don't think it's unreasonable.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I mean, it's so interesting, right? To kind of get your a mindset around it, everyone was very against steps towards more affordable health care. But then once it was implemented and people got it, now they don't want to let it go, right? And so there's always this sense of whatever legislation is passed, if it involves having to give something up, it's going to be unpopular. You know what I mean? The people aren't going to want to do it. And we look at this with guns, essentially. And it's interesting because were the United States to have been founded today, right? Would we have amendments that say, well, then we need everyone needs the right to affordable high-speed internet. Everyone has the right to drive a car. Everyone has the right. There's all this technology involved, and guns were just at the forefront at the time that technology is involved, where it probably shouldn't be. We need to step back and look at the actual ethos behind it, right? I mean, if by the term bear arms, and as you said, if it's to defend yourself against an invading force, well, then I probably should have the right, looking at this literally, to own grenades, grenade launchers, nuclear weapon, in case an invading force comes in, because that's the only way you're actually going to be able to do anything.
And I tell you, Trent, the barrel of this here tank, it is just wonderful for drying out them picnic cloths during the summer after a good wash. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, man. Like that's the funny thing about it, right? If it was still a relevant amendment, that's what would be implied. And for anyone that says, well, the founding fathers, yeah, guess what? They also said black people couldn't vote or own property,
or that they were only 3/5 of a person.
Yeah, women were not considered citizens. You know what I mean? But yet we had the foresight to change those things. But there's people are afraid they're going to lose something, and they're so self-interested that they're not willing to see the better and the good that it can do for other people. They're just worried about themselves. That's what it comes down to, I think.
Well, all I know is that I have well, that's not all I know. I know a lot of stupid shit. But on this particular topic, it not only are hearing about these type of things horrific, and we've already got shit of our own to deal with day in and day out. And I'll literally tell you that the way I handled the news was I saw something quickly on Facebook, and at that point I just saw a school shooting, Florida, and I said that's literally all I can handle right now.
Yeah.
I have to first process this before I learn anything else. I can't believe this is happening again, because I have a daughter that's going to be turning 15 years old this year. She goes to middle school. Next year, she'll be going to school the furthest she ever has from home, which is only 2-point-something miles, but still, she's always been within a mile of our home. Her current school is a half-mile away. So both for her safety and the mere fact that there are schools, within a half-mile of my home as well, I don't want to have to worry if my kid is going to walk home from school. and some disgruntled child is going to mow down her and all of her friends. I shouldn't have to worry about the safety of my kid when they're in school. No parent should, and I don't want to. Because I am a coward, Trent. I had fully admit in this way I am a coward, but I never want to experience the horror that these other parents have had to face.
Oh my God.
I would literally cut off parts of myself to make sure I wouldn't have to encounter that type of tragic, horrific, utterly pointless loss.
Yeah.
I would give up anything. So I can't imagine why somebody feels they have to be able to fire so many rounds because it certainly isn't going to be going to take down Wild Hog, you know?
No, not
Because
at all.
clearly, you know, that's an arrow-based hunting form, first of all. I don't know why I brought that up, but never mind.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's
I'm
true.
getting a lot more serious than I expected to. Usually we don't talk about these type of things, but it's just, it's one of those things that of all of the other madness that's in America, could we finally break free of the mold and of the utter bribery that goes on in politics and everything else, and actually just do what's right for once? And you don't want the politicians falling into the tropes that they're defining or that the internet is defining. But when you literally see that, you know, if it's anything, anyone of color, then it's about terrorism, and then if it's about a white person committing the atrocity, it's thoughts and prayers, and then there's the utter uselessness of offering thoughts and prayers when this happens.
Right.
I just wish of all the things we could get this at least one thing steered correctly, but
Yeah.
we're not going to. When you see things, and I haven't verified any information, but if it's true, like how some of the people that speak the loudest are also getting the largest donations from the NRA. I mean, how many more signs do we need that the system is broken and that it truly needs to be fixed? And that's not going to be done with what is it called? With a reality show host. That's what I'm going
right. Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too. Like, I think because things are so binary in the way where it's delivered to us, people have maybe fallen away from the idea that politics, it's you're not ordering from an A and B menu, right? You can choose a la carte. You can have your own thoughts about certain issues that might conflict with a party's stance, right?
Dude, like literally, I can go up to McDonald's right now, and if I want to order a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit and a side of fries with a Coke, I can do that. I can mix and match all I want.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's the way politics has to be, because
It
some
should-
people are
yes.
going to want fries with their sausage or bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, and
Totally.
some aren't. I'm sorry, wait, is McDonald's sponsoring us? I'm confused.
I don't know, but dude, their mobile app is amazing. I get like $1 quarter pounders all the time because of the app.
I haven't loaded it and I haven't tried it, but I will admit I was on a little bit of a journey yesterday, Trent. Let's dialing it back. I think it's very clear, folks. Guns bad, mass shootings bad. We're not doing anything to fix it. And the sad, fucked up thing is we're not going to see anything change. A year from now, we're going to be having the same goddamn discussion. And it disgusts me so much. And I don't know what to do about it, and there's nothing we can do. So let's just stick a pin in it like we always do, and and we'll have thoughts and prayers for the best possible answer to suddenly materialize in front of us. Let me get that bitterness out of my system. Okay, good. I mean, what else are you going to do? How do you pivot away from that, right?
Yeah.
I had an idea too, but I blathered on so much trying to veer out of it now. It totally fell out of my head. Oh, the McDonald's app. Yesterday I was on a journey where, look, I won't lie, Trent. I was going out for lunch specifically because the rumor was that Shamrock Shakes were out there. And
Already?
And I discovered that it is true, but not in my area. But I also the other weird thing that I encountered in doing a quick web search was that 5 days ago there was an article run by McDonald's that I when clicking the link am told I'm not authorized to access. But what it was mentioning was that Shamrock Shakes are out there, and it'll be even easier to find them because you can use the official shake tracking app.
Oh, they have an app for that.
Well, I was just thinking the smartest move is to have that be a part of your McDonald's app. Really, I mean, keep it within brand,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Especially if you're going to be pushing mobile ordering.
Yeah, and your fan base is already right there. You don't need to get them to opt into another service agreement.
Well, here's the other thing too. Regardless of whether they're corporate or they're a what's the name of that franchise location, you know what you're shipping to who, so you know what they have, right? So it's easy to update. But yeah, they're going to have a shake tracking app, and I'm not ashamed to admit I'm looking forward to that, my friend.
Hells yeah.
Because I don't know what it is about the magic of green food dye and mint flavoring, but I'm in. I always have been since a kid. Shamrock Shake represents youth to me, which is why I'm fat.
Goddamn McDonald's.
Yes, I blame them. If there's anything I know, I can't accept the blame. All my liberal talk, clearly I can't accept the blame, right?
Exactly.
I don't really like identifying like liberal or conservative or anything else.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a la carte, folks. You don't have to be one or the other.
Exactly. Hey, by the way, what do you think about much as you told me would be happening, Mitt Romney running for Senate for is it for the Senate?
Happen. For Utah, yeah.
So basically he's looking to take Orrin Hatch's spot.
Yes, correct.
Now, is there any buzz about town, if you will, about this in any way, shape, or form?
He's gonna win. Like, I can't think of a more one-sided election ever. Ever. Except maybe if Jesus Christ came back and ran.
Over here, we have the Republican candidate, Mitt Romney, and to his right, we have the Democratic candidate, A. Rock.
Yes. Yeah. Literally anyone. Is there anyone in the room that would like to stand up?
Come on, just please, somebody. Can we have the janitor do it?
Legally, we have to have him run against someone. Please, anyone in the room willing to just put their name down. You don't have to really run, but we need a name.
I like that. I love that you're using the Paul Dini theory of comedy, and you just no, not Paul Dini. I'm sorry. No. The guy that's in Paul Dini is the great Batman writer. My apologies. It's the other one. He's currently in charge of Veep. Dave Mandel. The Dave Mandel theory of comedy. It's just like, well, okay, if going for 3 beats is good, then going for 4 beats is funnier, and 5. So and I was sitting here going, oh yeah, man, just keep going, push it, baby.
Don't stop. Yeah,
just go.
Yeah, and I'm done.
That was good, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. I needed that laugh, especially since I needed to get a way to get us out of politics. Because if there's anything that shouldn't happen in this world, it's neither one of us should be crying on an episode of NetHeads.
No.
But given the world we live in, who knows? I mean, like this week, like we didn't do a show last week because the tower died, basically.
Right.
But then during the week, like Valentine's Day got just a horrible black cloud over it because I know I have a 15-year-old daughter because I know I have a 16-year-old dog. I know that's a horrible way to put it, but you know, Jack was a puppy 1 year and then Emily was born the next year. So Jack is 16 years old and he's highly arthritic and everything else. And let's just say that for Monday, Tuesday, and a little bit of Wednesday, he had 3 really bad days. And so I know that there is, if we keep doing this silly thing, recording podcasts or doing shows or whatever we want to call it, there's going to be a very hard episode coming up, or it'll just be something we completely avoid or lightly touch on, but that's forthcoming. Much in the same way, and please, my apologies for bringing this up, but much in the same way that you had to experience around the, in your life with Sherman. So, it's...
Yeah, it's true.
And these things happen. I mean, hell, you heard how I got blubbery over a cat ages ago. And I didn't even like that cat.
I was gonna say a cat you didn't even like.
No, nor did it like me. I mean, it would just
like anyone.
Like I would walk in the room, and this is the way the exchange would go. It's like I would walk in the room, and then from somewhere, some mystery spot. Hello, Mariah. I would walk on.
Yeah.
So that's coming, and who knows? Life is it's funny with these quirky little things it likes to throw at us. So who knows what'll be next? I don't know. I'm looking forward to the adventure, but really, I just hope it doesn't make me want to stick my head in the oven. Overall, really.
Aw.
Well, especially in my case, I haven't
Sylvia Plath anything.
Yeah, I have an electric oven, so that would be a really difficult way to go.
Yeah, you'd be there a long time.
Yeah, and I don't think it would be very comfortable at all.
You'd get hot.
Yeah. But the good news is I wouldn't have any hair to burn. So, hey, I got that going for me. Anyway, Trent, I think at the point where we're talking about burning hair, it's time to dial it back a notch and say it's time to go. So I want to thank you, sir, for joining me. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Will.
Don't make it sound like you're just dropping in this. I know I talked to Brett Deacon on the last episode, but that was just because the 4DX thing has been coming up so much. Look, I want to admit, I wanted to have something in my hip pocket in case anything happened.
Oh.
Lo and behold,
Luckily you did.
towered the next day, just muerto completely.
Yeah, ya se fue.
Yeah. So, but you're not just like dropping. I mean, are you just? Is there going to be an awkward conversation after this?
No, because I have to use the bathroom.
Okay. Well, anyway, folks. Thanks. Until next time. My name is Will,
I'm Trent.
and we'll be back
Soon.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. Signing off. I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it. NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.
No stinger. Trent's got to go.
Yeah, like poop wise, and then if I'm lucky, I'll get a scent of Mother's box. At smodcast.com.
Oh wait, hold on. I'll fix it in post.